what am I here for? Why am I working? What is capitalism? Yeah. Like all these things are starting to happen because you're like, what is life? This kind of sucks. Welcome to another episode of Primary Care. I'm your host, Dr. Hendricks. This episode of Primary Care is sponsored by Brigitte Health. More than just an ED treatment. So I don't even know how to jump in. If you want to just kind
of... my name is Brigitte Bandit, and I do drag full-time. It's my full-time work. I'm known as the Dolly of Austin. I do like Dolly Parton impersonation. Normally, I'm wearing like a big breastplate too. Like I got some big-ass titties.
Yeah.
That's why they call me the Dolly of Austin.
I see.
So I normally... and that's hot. Like I can literally
imagine.
Be like dripping sweat off underneath. So I was like, no titties today. This is comfortable drag. Are you kidding me?
Gotcha.
I feel cozy. This is fine. The most uncomfortable thing are these eyelashes. That's it.
I can imagine. Shout out to our amazing producer, Dan. He has found incredible guests for every episode without any direction at all. And so he actually mentioned your name before I even saw your video.
Yes. And
I was like, yeah, absolutely. I want as many drag queens as we can get. But then I saw your video and I was like, oh my God, like absolutely. What an incredible opportunity to be able to talk to you, especially in what a time to be talking about drag under attack. But do you feel as though when you were in the Senate that they were receptive to you whatsoever? Or do you feel like it was more like I'm just sitting here because I have to be?
Well, okay. So the experience of speaking at the Senate.
Right.
They don't give you any kind of timeline about what's happening.
Gotcha.
They just kind of have like the agenda and they randomly go through it. So even though the drag bill was at the very top of the agenda, they didn't see it until after everything else. So I was there at 9 a.m. in drag, okay? That's normally about the time I'm going to sleep. It was a 9 a.m. call time was so hard. I had to wake up at like 6 in the morning to get into drag.
Yeah, of course.
And then I get there and they don't hear it until like 3 p.m. So I'm just sitting there in full drag all day. I did take a little bit of a nap. I found a room to take a nap in.
Good.
But whenever I finally get to speak, they had been there all day too. I had been there all day. And the way they set it up was whenever you register to testify, you put whether or not you're speaking in opposition or support of the bill. They took the people who were in support of the bill, which was, by the way, we outnumbered the people who were supporting the bill 5-1. Okay. Sure. So they took the few people that were supporting the bill, they put them at the very beginning, and then they put all the opposition in the middle, and then they put a few more approval at the end. So they start the hearing.
So they sandwiched you.
They're all sitting there. As soon as the opposition starts speaking, they all get up and leave. So I was sitting there like I had sat there all day.
Listen to everything.
In full drag. I had woken up. I had spent hours working on my testimony, and I considered real hard, how do I get these people to listen to me?
Right, it was important.
And they weren't even there to listen to me. I'm honestly like so disgusted by that. Like that was my first time speaking in our state capitol.
Yeah.
And these are the people who are supposed to be representing us. These are the people who are supposed to be listening to us. And like, especially the people who are
government officials left?
Yes. Like the senators left the chamber. They left. They got up and left. There were like 3 or 4 left. And it was obviously like the people who wanted to hear us and had to keep running through the thing. And I was, yes. So they left. And the other thing about it is they were obviously like making a statement by doing the approval at the end. They all came back for the last few that were speaking back. So they purposely put that sandwich thing to make that kind of gross statement. Can you believe that? I was so frustrated.
Of course.
Like and also like flabbergasted that this is our government.
Yeah.
I think it's cowardly that they wouldn't sit there and listen to the people who it's going to affect the most.
Right.
You know?
It's almost like it's clear that they don't care.
They don't care. And they didn't even leave fully. So like the Senate has the bottom where people are like testifying. And then around it is the gallery, the chambers, which is upstairs. Some of them went upstairs to look below so that they weren't actually at their desks, but we had but they were still like kind of wanting to see what was going on, but they just didn't want to be like there at the desk giving them.
This is literally every straight person who does not like or support drag. They want to know what's going on, but they don't support it, but they're still gonna look.
Yeah.
That's really disappointing.
Yes, it was so disappointing.
You know, I think we're just at a really unique opportunity to be able to educate so many people too, and that's all we can do, I guess. Is keep just promoting education. And I don't know, I just feel sometimes, I'm sure you do too, overwhelmed by like the whole system. Like,
Yeah.
what do? You spend your whole day, probably weeks before planning, at least getting things together and building the confidence to be able to talk there. Even if you're the most confident person, you want to put, some of your best confidence forward in that situation. And then to have all of that happen, I'm sure the last thing you want to do is go back there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel like it's like they do everything in their power to make sure that like the average Texan can't have their voice heard.
Right.
Because somebody else with a 9 to 5, they're not going to be able to take a day off, especially if there's somebody living paycheck to paycheck. They can't take that time off. They have kids that they got to pick up. They got, people have so many different kinds of responsibilities to make it so that you have to spend your entire day, because they don't give you any kind of schedule or timeline, to sit there and speak. And then they're not even there when you do. It's just like, what's the point of going? I'm thankful that my testimony went viral just because I hope some of those people who left still saw me somewhere,
For sure.
And like, you're going to listen to us at some point. You have to, like, you can sit there and ignore us all you want, but that's why we have to like show up for rallies, show up to testify, even like dropping a card at the Capitol. Do you know what this is?
No.
It's like whenever they're hearing certain bills, you can go the day of, and instead of testifying, you could still like drop a card. So it's easy. You just show up and do it, but it has to be on Capitol Wi-Fi and it can't be on your phone. It has to be on a tablet or a computer. Like, it's just like the most absurd rules that make it so difficult for you to like state your opposition or support of any bill. And it's because they don't want to listen to us. They want to just sit there in their own little echo chamber in the Capitol. Oh gosh. Makes me so bad.
Good, though. I mean, your passion though behind it obviously is clear. And so for people who don't even know what the bill is really aiming to do, do you kind of have a good or like a small sort of synopsis of what it's?
Yeah. So I spoke against 2 bills, 2 of the anti-drag bills. Just so you know, in the Texas legislature this session, we have a record number of anti-queer bills in general, like 140 anti-queer bills, which is crazy. So this is just drag. Okay. So this doesn't even go into like trans healthcare and stuff, which is a huge thing happening. But the anti-drag bills, the first one would make any venue that hosts drag performances classified as a sexually oriented business and be taxed and regulated the same way basically as a strip club.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? So any venue that has drag. So it's basically trying to keep like kids out of drag shows, but ultimately it's going to make it really difficult for venues to, especially like brunches and stuff like that, like to host drag shows. So that's the first one. And then the second one I testified against was they're trying to withhold funds from any libraries that host drag queen story times. And now they're actually trying to defund them if they host drag queen story times. Yeah. So it's got like even worse. Yeah.
And do you think these will pass?
It just passed the Senate.
Well, I think no one is safe in the queer community at this point, and especially, the last people who feel that they're going to be implicated or somehow involved is going to be the cis white males. So somehow we need to get them galvanized and understand that this is a community issue. You are a part of the community. I mean, I even think I saw something that there was this, and of course, viral hate stuff goes viral much faster than viral love stuff.
Yeah.
So I saw that they were like trying to kick the T out of the LGB. I don't know if you saw that. What? Like, there's like this
was
big,
it queer people trying to get rid of the
queer people saying that trans people are not gay or lesbian, they're their own what the hell?
There's the you have your TERF lesbians, like you know what TERFs are?
No.
You've never heard of the word TERF before?
No, I don't think so.
It's called a trans radical or trans exclusionary radical feminist. And so it's basically like they don't believe like trans women are women. They like to say that they're men trying to act like women. Yeah, so that's what TERFs are. If you ever see that term, because that's a lot, that's what it like J.K. Rowling is a TERF.
Gotcha. She's a feminist, but
it's a TERF. Yeah. So trans exclusionary radical feminists, where they do try to exclude trans women from the struggle of womanhood,
First and foremost, anything that's going to grow the queer community, the more the merrier. Like, we should be trying to recruit people in so we have more allies than kick people out, because we could use all the help we can get. I just don't understand this philosophy of just not letting people do what they want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it. We live in the United States of America, where freedom is allegedly our slogan, trademark, whatever. And I definitely don't feel like freedom is ever a priority. And
it's not,
it's freedom. And I don't even know how you can call it freedom, right? Like, if you're conservative, you're like, oh, it's freedom to have my gun or freedom to have my religion. Well, you have that. It's over there. I'm not going to have a gun and I'm not going to be religious. But how is that affecting your freedom? I just don't get it. Maybe that's an argument that just never will make sense.
Yeah. Like to each their own. What a crazy idea.
Wow.
Also, when it doesn't really perpetuate any harm. And like, especially when it comes to like trans people, is they don't listen to the experts who study these things. You know, like I have a degree in psychology. So, you know, we talked about these things, and it's been like proven time and time again with studies that they are valid. Trans people are valid. And it's actually much healthier to grant trans people gender affirming care than to withhold it from them, especially trans kids, you know? And so we're just harming people by trying to restrict them in this box. And I think that the people who don't understand trans people have just never met a trans person. They don't know. They can't, because I'm like, I don't know. Trans women are women. Yeah. Trans men are men. And like, I don't know. I just like womanhood or manhood to somebody whose genitalia is so weird. Like you sit there and you want to call yourself a feminist, but you're literally saying the only way you can be a woman is to have a like, that's so like, there's so much more to womanhood than that, you know?
And even so, like, why do we have to care?
Exactly.
If I want to be a man today and or whatever, like however I want to identify myself, however someone wants to, it has nothing to do with anyone else.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect anyone. I mentioned this in one of the other podcasts, is like, and there's such a spectrum. There are trans men who are happy to present feminine. They still look feminine. If you saw them, you would assume they were
You have like
female.
you have Gottmik, who's a trans man and a drag queen.
Yes.
You know,
it's not so cut and dry, and it doesn't have to be, and we don't have to put a label on it, but it does help people that are coming into who they are try to find a label so that they feel like they identify somewhere, right? But I think after they probably are able to determine who they really are, the label doesn't matter, but it becomes the way that we can be attacked, right? You're not a man because the man is this. Well, who gives a shit?
Yeah, no, totally. I think it goes back to what you were saying about like masculinity and femininity, and whenever you embraced more of your femininity, you felt more power within your masculinity, because whenever you strip like this toxic masculine ideas of what it is to be a man, you learn what it actually is, you know? A healthy way to express your masculinity involves understanding your femininity, and so why not embrace both? Have fun with both. Like, don't be scared of it, you know?
And there truly could be a man and a woman inside all of us if you want to really classify that as masculine or feminine or however you want to label it. But that's really the bread and butter of it, is that we are all both, and trying to balance those in our day-to-day lives and learn who we are. And I think, again, I always go back to religion because I think religion traumatized me the most, my Christian upbringing. And I feel like, you know, there's a lot of publications talking about how more and more Americans are not identifying as religious. And so that's obviously threatening because religion is quite powerful and they need money to stay powerful, tithing, etc., etc. So if you have less people following you, you have less funds. Less funds means you're less powerful. Less money for religion means less money to put into politics to make their agenda, you know, present and active and strong.
It is money. It's all about money.
Right. It really is. And it's all about people following you and money, just like social media. so basically,
and power. Yeah.
So
money and power.
Church is like the initial, the first social media, in my opinion. And so it's losing power. And so they have to find a way to make sure that they can retain power. And the best way to do so is to either promote hope or promote fear. And fear is much easier to promote than hope, you know, especially in this type of a situation. And so I think they're just pumping fear into people who already have those strings attached to religion. And then they're able to spread that to their family and to their friends and hopefully, you know, bring people to their side. And there was another article saying that, you know, never doubt evangelicals because they've done this before. I guess like in the 50s or 60s, there was like a revolution of religion. Religion was kind of dying, I guess, in the 60s or something. Evangelicals like got really smart and sort of promoted themselves. And that's why we lost disco and we lost a lot of those things that were really opening people's minds and perspectives. And so we're having that again, right? We're having this new age of mind openness. Like, what is gender? What is sexuality? What is religion? What am I here for? People are like, why am I working? What is capitalism? Like all these things are starting to happen because you're like, what is life? This kind of sucks.
Yes.
Hey folks, my podcast Primary Care is sponsored by Brigitte Bandit, the latest pharmaceutical advancement in erectile dysfunction. This is a sublingual compounded treatment using 3 ingredients, sildenafil, tadalafil, and apomorphine, and it works up to 5 times faster than pills and chewables. We give you a promo code Primary Care for 20% off your first order and free shipping. Now, let's get back to the content.
Yeah.
And it seems like it could be easier because what is this dollar bill? Why does that make things happen? It's a piece of paper. So it's just a lot of that. A lot of people are being awoken into the weirdness of the rules that we have in front of us. Why do I go to a job 9 to 5 to then still be in debt up to my eyeballs and never make it out? Why do I go to college to get a degree that puts me in debt farther than my mortgage? Why do I do all of these things that society tells me I have to do in order to just keep feeding the machine and making that very few amount of people at the top happy? And what the few amount of the people at the top are really good at is trying to get that 40% right underneath them to make them feel like, oh, you're one of us, you know, you're upper middle class, you know, you're being targeted by higher taxes and these changes in society. And they don't, there's not even
if
close.
They only knew the amount of wealth this country has, that we're sitting here scraping for pennies between like the middle class and lower class, like literally, like the wealth inequality is wild. I remember when I learned that, I was like, how are we not all rioting in the streets right now?
Truly.
Like,
because they have us distracted about drag queens.
They do, yes. It's a culture war. And like, you don't understand that if we actually like paid attention to these issues, we can make life better for all of us.
Yes.
Like, I'm not just looking out for myself and my queer community. It's a class war. You know? Like, more people need to come together no matter what. Like, you know.
But it's I think too, it's our politics as well. I think it's even the most liberal politician is getting funded by somebody, and it's not me.
Oh yeah.
It's not my middle class friends.
Oh no, I'm not a Democrat or a Republican.
Exactly.
You know,
because
like,
they're really the same. Let's be honest.
It is the same. It's still serving the same system and keeping the wealthy.
Yeah. And so until I think we stop arguing with each other about stupid shit, it's just going to keep going, and it's going to keep getting worse. I do think, you know, we're in this weird situation right now where wealth inequality is just going to keep exploding, and I don't know, like, can we take it? Like, how much more can people deal with?
Totally. Yeah. Like, at one point, do we just like take some notes from France over there?
I know. and just start making
and do something, you know, because people can't go on this way. It's scary, and it's so sad to watch, and like, people are having their lives stripped away from them, just because there's people who have so much power and control and wealth and money. It's sad.
And you know, you look at France. France is a great example of how a group of people who live in a country that aren't scared of their government, because their government, they ensured, never got too powerful, never had militarization, and they probably do in some capacity, but can you imagine if there was a protest and we were putting bricks up along a highway? They would have tanks. Yeah. You know, the state of Texas or the state of Florida, wherever I'm at the time, will have their militarized police there. And that's because we've let them do that. We've been taught that we need to be scared and we need to have the police there to protect us from the big bad neighbor next door, when really we're giving the government our power by giving them our money to buy more weapons to keep here to use against us. Again, I could clearly go on and on many different topics, but it is, and like, they're not meant to like make someone scared and when I say these things, or make someone think I'm like some conspiracy theorist. It's just to open people's minds that these things could be happening, and look into it, talk to your friends about it, and start a dialogue, because I don't know anyone from my patients or from my friends or family who's like, wow, I'm making great money right now, I'm just have no worries about my bills, what a great life it is to be an American. I haven't heard that from anyone I've met, and it should be that way. We have a lot of opportunity here. There's so much abundance in this country, and people need to stop feeling as though there's a scarcity. Of course there are environmental resources. I'm sure someone will comment to me about that. There's not a abundance of yes, but you know, there's plenty of money here for everybody. There's plenty of money to fund healthcare. There's plenty of money to get people out of jail and into education and to prevent them from going back to jail. There's plenty of money to educate people about marijuana use and how it can be done safely, alcohol use and how it can be done safely. There's literally plenty of money to address every single issue, but we're told no one can pay for it, no one can afford it, and we need to cut taxes and it's just a constant cycle of
we're told that drag queens are the problem. You know, we're told
those tips
we're told all these other distractions. Then you know, why haven't we passed anything to regulate the sale of guns? You know, I wonder why.
And you know, they always say too, like, oh, the NRA is so powerful, and they are, but when you look at how much money they have in comparison to some other massive corporations, it's not like they're a multi-billion-dollar industry like Facebook, Google, or like, you know, the Koch brothers who, you know, have been investing political money for many, many years. You know, the NRA is definitely powerful, but they're not controlling things. There's other reasons why guns are around.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not blaming just the NRA.
They get a lot,
but it's a lot of the system does have so many different pieces about it that keep things from changing.
Yes,
you know,
example, like, you know, the prison industrial complex, right? So that's a big one. So they make a lot of money putting people in prison. Well, how are we going to get people in prison? Well, we got to have them commit crimes. Well, let's make crimes more common. How do we do that? Let's make guns available to everyone. In Florida, by the way, you don't have to have a permit to buy a gun anymore.
Wow.
Even my very conservative mother was like, I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think so too.
Yeah.
You know, it's this cycle of fear, getting people in trouble, making money off those people, making money off of the whole system. And you really do have to start saying, where does this start and how do I piece it together so you can educate yourself on how to make changes. But then even like you mentioned, they try to make it very difficult for our voices to be heard. It's difficult to vote.
Yeah.
I can log on an app and pay my taxes, but I can't log on an app and vote.
But it's also hard when you do vote and then you don't see any changes.
Ever.
It's hard when you vote and then you see Roe v. Wade get overturned.
Exactly.
You know, it's like, what's the point?
Right.
They're all serving the same fucking system.
Yep.
How do we really make change?
And like the younger people, the younger generation, I feel like is not interested in trying to try because you were so beaten down, right? I mean, we have so many other things to worry about. College debt. Will I ever buy a house? Can I afford a baby? Like, will I have health care? Nonetheless, can I run for Congress or can I make a change in my community? I don't have time. I'm working 12 hours a day. And it's really what we're also seeing still, that what the average representative is like 65 or 70 in the government, both state and federal levels. And when a young person or millennial is elected, it's like front page news for like 3 years because it's just crazy that a millennial can add and subtract and write a letter, sign checks, you know, like we can do things too. We have thoughts and we have to kind of put ourselves out there, but also too, I think we're in a unique situation with social media wise, where if you are a young person and you're trying to put yourself out there, there's so much hate that it can be thrown at you. And so you just have to be ready for it.
No, yeah. I know it's been crazy just going viral and stuff.
Yeah.
That too. It is a lot to deal with. But also being in the Senate and watching all of them debate the bill, and it's just a ton of old white people. And I'm like, this is so gross. Like literally, like I had to go take a shower afterwards.
Yeah,
I was like,
I mean,
this is just.
It just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense that you can elect people based on their name on a piece of paper, and that's considered who represents you. I mean, you can't have 20 white men sitting at a table representing the state of Texas. Like it just doesn't make sense. You need a piece of every person, a piece of every culture. I don't know why this has never been I know why this hasn't been an idea.
No, but do you see what's happening in the other states where they actually have like voted in people that are more representation of their population? Like in Tennessee, they had the 2 black.
Oh, they're out. Yeah, they
tried to kick him out, but they got him back in.
Good.
But also right now in Montana, there's a trans legislator who's being silenced. Like her mic has been turned off.
You believe?
I unfortunately can, but it's so fucked up. Like, and they're speaking about bills that this person is going to have the most knowledge about and personal experience, and they just cut her mic. Watching all the people get in the gallery there and yell at them to let her. Oh yeah, I'm like, yes, like that's what we need. Like we need to learn how to like organize and build community and talk with one another. That's why it's important for us to talk about these issues and find commonalities to like grow people and radicalize people a little bit more, you know?
Speaking of commonalities, I work for this company where I see patients for primary care and urgent care for video visits, and we do a lot of Medicare assessments. So there's like 65-year-olds and older, and I see a lot of them, and most of them are white, and most of them have really great insurance, and most of them are super conservative, but I'm super gay wherever I'm at. So I present to them, and I always try to make sure when a patient is with me that they get a 5-star experience, and I try to learn something from every patient that I see, even if I know we have a lot different about us. I would say that every person that I've met everywhere, we all have so much more in common than we have different. We hold on to these things that have no value, like conservative beliefs or religion or things like that, to try and alienate others or to try to feel superior or feel like you're a part of something, when we are all so much more alike. Even if you don't believe in any religion or have completely, personal views that are different, we love to garden. We love to go to the movies. Everybody likes to have a good dinner. Everyone wants to spend time with their loved ones. These are things that we should be talking about with each other and aligning more with. People love clothes, whether you're a man, a kid, a grandma. Everyone loves to shop. It's the same thing. We're all putting on our drag. We're all putting on our presentation for the day. Some people wear makeup, some don't. We're still all so similar, and I try to put that into every encounter, and I have. And sometimes I feel like it does make a difference, but at other times I just feel like it's not, and that nothing will change until a certain generation is gone. But they are also teaching a lot of our young people too to be hateful, and how do we prevent that from happening when in Florida they're taking away books that I never even read and ended up being, okay, but it took me a while.
Yeah.
Maybe if I would have read things like, it's actually funny, I just started to listen to audiobooks that are being canceled in Florida, I think, and I'm like, maybe I should have read some of these. I had to open my mind a little bit more. But yeah, how do we make sure that our kids are still getting educated, especially about, racism, sexuality, and then sexual health is getting a huge hit. And this is not even a gay issue, a trans issue, a religion issue. This is about teen pregnancy. This is about teen STD and HIV rates. This is about learning how to keep yourself safe and also enjoy a healthy sexual life. Because now it's so interesting. I feel like people don't even talk about like teenagers having sex. Like you don't see it anywhere, but they're doing it. Yes. I certainly was. Yeah. And sometimes I had no one to talk to about it, nowhere to turn to, because I didn't feel comfortable. The last podcast we had, I talked about losing my virginity, which I cannot believe I said. That story. I went home and was like, I told my partner, he's like, you said that? I'm like, I said that. It's in the moment, you know? But, I think it's important because there's a lot of young people out there who are missing that understanding that it is something that you can do when you're a young person, but be ready for it. And I just wish there was more resources out there for them. And I know there's a lot of people trying, but I feel like there's also this stigma that's being placed. Like if you try to educate young people about sex, you're promoting sex as if it's a bad thing too. Like, is young people having sex bad? Because that is kind of the general synopsis that I get. Like, should I watch what I say to young people about it? Should we be educating them? I don't want to be like a predator, because they always try to throw as many types of offensive things they can. Groomer, predator, whatever, especially being a gay male. So I don't know. I just hope that we can continue trying to educate and do the best we can. I don't even know where I was going with that, but I have a lot to say. This happens to me a lot.
But I do think about like sexual health, especially when it comes to like kids, and also like the like queer people, because it's like how do we express like our sexual desires and stuff in healthy ways? Like how do we have those conversations around it so people don't get in trouble or don't get into things that they don't want to be involved with, or especially like gay sex can be like there needs to be like conversations about how it's done properly and safely and stuff, and it's just harmful to withhold it. But they think that, if you give them that information and that knowledge, you're promoting whatever, and it's like they're gonna figure it out some way. I mean,
it's interesting too, because I feel like a lot of the way that our culture and society is built doesn't really reflect biology. I mean, boys go through puberty at 12, girls go through puberty at 12. Do I think that they should be sexually active at 12? Absolutely not. But you should start educating them because it's happening, right?
Yes.
And then at what age do we say it's okay for them to start? And like, it becomes really confusing.
Whenever they make all these like conversations about sex like so taboo and stuff, then they're able to like push these narratives of going back to drag as predators. Exactly. What is an actual predator? What is it? Because it's so wild to me that somebody who I've worked with kids for years, like I love working with kids. Like I've never had any concern with any kind of events I've done with kids, whether it be whenever I was a swim instructor, a party hostess. What else did I do? Teach summer art camps. I was a youth group leader. Like I feel like I did more harm as a youth group leader than I ever did as a drag queen.
Well, my youth group leader, one time we went on a retreat to North Carolina. There was a group of like 6 guys. We were in a room. I was probably 12 or 13, and he took a picture of me while I was in the shower.
Oh my God. Yeah, see, it's like, but whenever you're withholding that information, especially in like these religious, like,
and I didn't even feel safe to tell anyone.
They don't have healthy ways to express their sexuality. They turn to these other things, and then you wonder why there's a huge issue of priests in the church with the kids and stuff, but you don't hear any concern from the right about that.
And if you want to protect kids from predators, wouldn't you want to preload them with as much information up front as possible? Because if you are an interested kid or teenager who is wanting to express themselves sexually, and a predator or whoever has knowledge that they can provide for you, if they get to them first, they're just looking for something, right? Like that's, at least I look into my perspective. At 16, I was ready. I wanted to like express my gayness. I had been suppressing it for so long in my head, and sexuality just felt like a good way to do it. And I enjoyed myself, but I could have gotten into a lot of trouble, and my parents had no idea what was going on, which most parents don't. Even though my parents think that they were like completely aware of every single thing that I was doing, and a lot of parents feel the same way, it could have got me into a lot of trouble. So that's why I always bring it up, and how I can learn how to find a way to educate young people, because I look back on myself and was like, I could have gotten in so much trouble. I could have gotten a lifelong disease. I could have ended up with the wrong person at the wrong time. I didn't know what I was doing. In the last episode, when I said losing my virginity, I had no idea what gay sex was, and I was about to have it. I was like, what do I do?
Oh my God.
And it was interesting. But it's like you mentioned, it's a very difficult place to navigate now. I assumed that over time we would things would get easier, but it seems like we're at this like precipice point where we have to decide what our next steps will be and how we'll lead as leaders in the queer community. But anywhere people can see you on a regular basis?
I perform every single Friday night at Oil Can Harry's at 9:00 for Kingdom, hosted by Alexander the Great, a drag king. So you get to have some drag king representation. And then every Saturday at Coconut Club for Coco Cunts, which is our 21 drag brunch. And it's a lot of fun. It's award winning.
Yeah.
Follow me on Instagram. I post all that stuff. And then I also work through Extragrams, which is like a drag delivery service. So if you want me to go to a party or something like that, you can literally hire me to go perform. So
yeah, thank you so much for coming to educate us. Look forward to being able to learn much more from you in the future. And
well, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, no problem. Add us on Instagram at Primary Care Pod. Catch up on past episodes and don't miss out on new ones. Subscribe to the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify at Primary Care Pod.